There are two ways to recreate something nostalgic. You can recreate what it looked like, or you can recreate what it felt like. 2 years ago, Anbernic gave us the RG35XX SP, and last year they gave us the RG34XX SP. On paper, they both checked every box: clamshell design, pocket-sized, and a good price to performance ratio. So when specifically talking about the 35XX SP, after spending some time with it, I couldn't help but feel like something was missing, and that is why I rapidly ditched it in favor of the RG34XX, the one device that struck the perfect balance between recreating the look but also the feel, giving me that rush of nostalgic dopamine. The 34XX reminded me of a GameBoy Advance, and when playing it, it reminded me of a younger version of myself, effectively feeling like something that once existed but being reborn in modern times. And here's the catch: I never owned a GBA SP, but I do remember my friend lending me his from time to time. And so I knew something was off with the RG35XX SP, but this model, this one handed me the long-lost key to memories I didn't even realize was buried. Fast forward to today, and Anbernic has gone back to the drawing board with the brand new RG SP, the handheld I thought I was buying 2 years ago, and for that reason, I didn't buy last year's model. While I can't pretend I had the RG34XX SP, I do believe I have the best device to compare it to, the RG Rotate. In many regards, Anbernic is competing with itself on this one. The buttons, the D-pad, the simplicity share a lot in common, but if you don't buy both, I think you'll end up surprised by which I'd recommend over the other. To find out what my answer is, watch until the end. As for a quick disclaimer, the RG SP was sent to me by Anbernic for review, and that's as far as the collab goes. They provide the unit, I provide my own thoughts, nothing in between, no requests, no drafts provided. So before we move on, let's get the chip, screen, and specs out of the way. Let me remind you that the RG SP is more humble. It's an all-winner H700 and comes with a 3.4-inch IPS 3x2 720x480p with up to 60 Hz of refresh rate. Some of you might already realize that this means this is the perfect aspect ratio for GBA, unlike the original 2024 model, but more like the 2025 model. This one does a better job at invoking the original system it's meant to emulate. It's got a lot that all those devices I keep naming had, but if I was to summarize this review in one sentence, it would be that the RG SP is, simply put, the GBA SP finally perfected by Anbernic. No more, no less. Hence why I'm comparing it to the Rotate. So let's keep going. One of the bigger differences, which could be addressed over time, but at least out of the box, is that the RG SP follows the typical H700 chip setup from Anbernic. It ships with Anbernic's Linux build, whereas the Rotate comes with Android. The screen is not OLED. Blacks will look gray when playing in the dark, but outside of that, this panel is gorgeous, vibrant, it gets bright enough, it gets dim enough, and dare I say, it doesn't have any light leakage on the edges. Both the Rotate and SP have great screens, but I'd argue the SP feels a little bit more flawlessly executed. Finally, it truly, in form and in feel, invoke the one system it was always trying to emulate. No 4:3 aspect ratio like the former, no sticks like its successor. This guy truly achieves the goal it should have always had. Alright, audio is awesome as long as you don't boot a disc-based system. I find when playing GBA, NES, SNES, Genesis, and the likes that the audio comes out really great, and once again, achieving that nostalgia. But if I boot a PS1 or PSP title, it's like the speakers can't keep up as well with the bitrate of the system we're emulating. Once again, reinforcing what should motivate you to buy an RG SP. It's front-facing, it can get loud, and it sounds good, but if you want an improved audio experience, the 3.5mm jack will take you further, especially for those disc-based systems. That's an area where I'd say the two devices I'm comparing today do great, but in their own rights. There are no clear winners. They each show up in ways that the other doesn't as well. So the RG SP also has a dedicated mini HDMI, effectively providing us with two things that the Rotate cannot do. Both have radio antennas and Bluetooth and 2.4 GHz, but the SP has lesser or older standards, whereas the Rotate, a device more tailored, though not mandatory, for an always connected experience, is better equipped in that regard as well. Despite being more humble, there are specs where the RG SP still flexes over the Rotate, but the opposite will generally be more frequent. The RG SP is also said to be priced anywhere between 60 to 65 USD, but pricing is unfortunately a detail I don't have at the moment. What I can say is that Anbernic should offer an introductory discount, so make sure to check the description as I'll update any details pertaining to that as soon as I know. This puts the RG SP at about 60% of the price of a Rotate. So let's jump a couple pegs forward and let me ask you this: at 60 bucks, which is about 4 McDonald's combos these days, are you okay with having one device that does a very specific system better than 95% of what's on the market? Because if so, the RG SP is the no-brainer pick. It retains cool aspects such as going to sleep mode when closing the lid. It protects itself, being that it's a clamshell, and it comes with 4 different colors: graphite, pearl pink, pearl blue, and platinum. So for the record, unlike the silver Rotate, which this one is metallic, none of these are. They just look metallic. The shell is indeed plastic. Shameless plug. If you're into retro handhelds, gaming tech, and honest review that focus more on feel and a fair amount of their spec sheet, consider subscribing, as it's what you'll find here at gametechtalk. And by the way, if you like these RG Rotate comparisons, I have reviewed that model too. Bookmark it to watch it next. Here's a fact: the RG SP is very much the better pocket device. It just is. That said, the Rotate does it extremely well too. RG SP will do a fine job at a 3x2 system with a perfect 3x pixel scaling, but there's something that particularly shocked me. Hopefully some of y'all know about HD filters, you know, Eagle, X2, X4, you know, those things that make pixels feel rounded rather than being tiny dots. Lots of people hate those, and I can understand why, but I'm not gonna lie, I actually love that filter on the RG SP. That said, we're given a couple more options to pick from to no filters at all, so if wanting something more, say, one-to-one, that's another big thing with the RG SP. It's a lot more simple to use. No matter the system, you'll have one button that gets you into the tweaks and out. And on Android, the user has far more flexibility, but it also comes with setting things up way more. And that's not a bad thing, but it's also a far more committed approach to have. So bringing it back to the Rotate with its 1:1 aspect ratio, there's also not a whole lot of options for perfect scaling, but it'll also do better at a lot of systems that are closer to this aspect ratio than the RG SP. Being on Android, the out-of-the-box experience will have an added layer of complexity, but it'll also do a whole lot more when wanting to set it up right. Eventually, the RG SP will have third-party firmwares to push it to greater heights, but we're still working with a lesser than chip, so mileage may vary. If I sound like I'm repeating myself, it's because the RG SP does so well at imitating the GBA SP. From even the little RGB status light, green for you got battery, red for when it's low battery, and orange that lets you know when charging. But if wanting to play something like SNES, of course, you will be able to. In fact, Anbernic sets up optional overlays for some of those systems. It'll improve non-matching aspect ratios on this handheld, but also won't be the best experience if looking for something optimized. 4x3, 16:9, and everything in between won't look ugly, but it also won't look perfect. The same can be said for the Rotate. Outside of Pico 8, that is, 1:1 is just closer to a lot of systems, but not necessarily a true to form aspect ratio either. All right, this review is coming to a close. It's a shorter one for me, but I think this speaks volume to what the RG SP ultimately is. It is a simple device designed to do a very simple thing. While it can stretch the complexity with which one might use it, I think it is best served as the thing that'll do the one thing it's absolutely built for, which is play Game Boy Advance games like it was a 2026 manufactured Game Boy Advance SP. If you want something that feels and looks retro but is built to tackle more, that's when you pivot to the Rotate. See what I did there? They both have their reason for being, but here's why I prefer the RG SP. Replaying those games is not just about playing them. It's about reliving an era that's well behind us. For some of us, we were there during that era. For others, they heard about it through parents, friends, family members. Either way, those games were different. Those systems were different. And much like I can watch a timeless movie that holds this powerful quote,
"But what about us?
We'll always have Paris."
Well, to this I say, we've always have GBA SP. And the RG SP is single-handedly the best now in HD approach to that device. It's the legacy of a device that was built with portability, equipped with games built with a bite-sized approach mentality. Literally that thing that's designed to live in your jacket pocket. The Rotate is a phenomenal device, one I could easily recommend because it's unique, but make no mistakes, while there is many universes in which you want both, if I can only have one in my pocket, the RG SP is the one I want. And if you see it the same way I do, treat GBA as the one reason you decided to buy it. You'll feel how magical a little bit of restraint can really feel, especially when wanting to dive headfirst into a device that's nostalgic in every sense of the word, both in look and in feel. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and let me know down below. If you could only keep one pocket handheld, which one would it be? As always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Clef. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.